Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome to another episode of Fanalysis, Star Wars. I'm Retty4, this is Grey Jedi 91.
Hello.
And this is Evan Nova 95.
Hello.
Matt, lead us in.
This is episode 9, The Last Skywalker Awakens, or what's it really called? The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Such as it is.
Possibly the worst title in the whole thing, just because in terms of meaning. I mean, Phantom Menace is really cheesy, and Attack of the Clones sucks. But at least the clones did attack something in that movie. Though, so that
is true.
I don't know about the Skywalker's rising in this one, but anyway,
You have to look deeper, man. 9. You have to look deeper.
We do? Oh, okay.
No.
So we're basically talking about this because you guys want us to, right? I mean,
And
that's why we saw it.
Completionist obligation.
For completionists, I'm for completionists.
It's the only reason any of us saw this film, yes. Including those absent.
Right, so those absent. So Antoine's easy. He's basically ghosting this film. Like, I mean, you can waste your time asking him to talk about it. I doubt he ever will. He's down to talk about Mandalorian, though, so we're going to do that at some point. But this film, he's not interested, so that's why he's not here. He's actually online right now and just not with us. Anyway, Connor, I have no idea if he's out of town for Christmas and stuff, so I don't know if he has any interest in this film. I imagine he hasn't seen it yet. If he has something to share about it, he will. And also, guys, for those of you who don't know, his channel's been hacked. That's why his channel's down. We don't have any real update about that, but he'll be back. He will. All his videos were saved. He'll come back at some point. Try to be patient. We don't have any further on that, but we're in contact with him. He's fine, and he'll be back. All right, I promise.
So stop asking.
No, right? I mean, so stop asking. but serious.
But he does appreciate all the support there, everyone. Thanks very much for the concern. He's we're all working on it. This film, we're opening up with initial impressions, right, guys?
I mean,
oh my. Well, look, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I'm saying that I think we all went in with really low expectations.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Can I elaborate on that?
Sure, go for it.
So I'm sure that most people who watch us know how we've been feeling at this point, and I'm sure that most people who watch us are familiar with the Mr. Plinkett prequel reviews, where he tore those films a new asshole on Red Letter Media. They did a prediction video, where they were trying to sort out what this could possibly be in the wake of Last Jedi, which was one of the worst middle chapters ever in terms of it didn't leave any hooks for the plot to go. It wasn't just that you couldn't guess where it was going to go. You lost your ability to be invested on a base level. You were like, what? And their whole theory was, I think they're going to do a terrible time travel plot, a shitty end game where they're going to go back in time and try to retroactively fix everything. And that's so terrible. I was looking forward to it because that would have been entertaining. That's what I wanted to happen. For those of you who have seen the film and know that that's not what happened, this was 1,000 times worse than even that. So yeah, my expectations were in the gutter, and it still was what? So yeah,
and that kind of
that's me.
Sums up a lot of this. Throughout this screening, I was just going, what? Huh? What? You're doing this now? Huh?
I mean, I'll give it this.
Pretty much repeated like that the entire time. I mean, it holds your attention, but so does getting punched in the face. So
I'll give it this. It's more comprehensible than The Last Jedi, but that's only because it's tedious and trite the entire time. I mean, I went into this expecting nothing because, again, I didn't think the bar could fall much further than The Last Jedi, and it really couldn't in terms of cinematic quality.
I feel it did,
on a story level.
In our last review, you literally said the bar was in hell.
Yeah, well,
I think it went. I think it found another, one of the inner circles or something. You know what I mean? It really,
one of the 9 layers. I went into this expecting nothing. I thought at the very least maybe it'll be an engaging film. Possibly, it has a chance of doing that. Different writer, different director, but really it didn't have any potential. Even if this was the best made film of all time in terms of trilogy ending potential, it had no chance. It could not complete this quote unquote trilogy in a single film. It's not possible with the way the rest of it has been set up, let alone a
agree with you
conclusion to
there.
the saga overall that it has absolutely no connection to.
I totally agree.
And that
with
is
you.
why you don't go into a trilogy without a through line planned, Disney.
Yeah, which they didn't
push it
have,
in
and anyone argued otherwise
And
is
play
lying to
telephone
themselves.
with your directors.
But the thing is, like, it's so baseline what the plan needed to be, and they didn't even do that because it's not like George had it. You think he had it mapped out that they were siblings when he kissed her, or when she kissed him, rather, in Empire? Hell no, he didn't know that. He absolutely didn't know that. That's the biggest flaw in all of Empire because retroactive. You just needed to kind of know where you were going, and they didn't have a clue. And I cannot. That's the most fascinating thing to me about these movies is that behind the scenes tale of like how they were quote unquote made. I don't know if made. How they came
Manufactured.
into being.
It's just the fact that they dropped the ball on the most basic concept of storytelling and filmmaking. This isn't a complicated idea that we should probably have this mapped out. No, let's just go roll. Just start filming with absolutely no plan in mind, and not only
No
that,
plan.
but no plan, like no potential plans laid out from what I can tell, because it's just a complete mess from start to finish. Force Awakens, as we've discussed previously, is a reasonably solid. I don't enjoy it, obviously, as people know, but it's a reasonably solid single film piece.
For me.
No matter what you think of the story and what it did to the setting, it's as a singular film. If you know nothing else about Star Wars, it's an okay piece of work.
I think it's even could be considered a good movie in most senses. I think that it lost me because it didn't explain what I needed to know to feel invested, and the villain failed to arrive for me in that film. Kylo Ren, I on screen, I didn't quite get him, and it feels like people today are now saying he's been carrying this whole trilogy on his back. And I think
in comparison to what though?
It says some. Well, that's the thing. It says something when he is one of the highlights.
He has debatably the most consistent character arc throughout.
That's what just going to say
three
that.
films, but that's only in comparison because everyone falls short. It's not that he stands out compared to the other sagas.
People think he was think he was great from day one, and I'm like, I didn't quite get this guy until like 2/3 of the way through Last Jedi, when like I found out that his uncle was a murderous like simpleton, like who tried to kill him while taking a nap or something because he had a bad dream.
Yeah.
That's what happened, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's painful. This film really tries to backtrack on any of that stuff by not mentioning it at all.
Tries to.
Yeah, for sure.
It succeeds.
It does.
Fully like backtracks all of that.
You can almost feel J.J. Abrams being like, "Don't look at that. Don't look at that."
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't even backtrack. It's the wrong word. It just ignores it and pretends it never happened. It doesn't address anything to do with the bad feelings of Luke. It's just completely.
It definitely backtracks with Luke specifically, but we'll get to
his character for sure. But I mean, everyone else's appreciation of him, particularly Ren's. Like, it's just there's no baggage there anymore. It's just that never happened. He didn't try to kill me in my sleep.
Well,
I've
just not addressed. Yeah,
I've literally seen people say that you could skip Last Jedi entirely and go from straight to 7 to 9, and you kind of can.
All that has to happen is you wonder like why Luke's dead, but you wonder that anyway if you watch Last Jedi,
especially after this film, which then makes huge leaps for far weaker Jedi being capable of doing things without any strain. So it's just baffling. It really is baffling, this entire trilogy. But anyway, that's the trilogy as a whole, and we don't want to spend too much time diving into that unless we do another video on it in the future. Which
we could talk about it later. I'm sure it'll come up as we do our little discussion here.
But general wrap up on first impressions though is we don't like this film. We think it's a mess. We think it's boring. We think it's trite. Everything you've probably heard a million times over from other reviews and your own opinion.
I wanted to address that.
Yeah. We're not going to be bringing any new, covering any
critics really have been panning this from pretty much all angles.
And it's not even just critics. It's just like other folks on YouTube. Like probably most people who watch us know who like Angry Joe is, right? He's been doing like, video game reviews for. I watched his video with him and his friends, and I agree with every point. And the funny thing is, to drive the point home, their video is about as long as the movie itself. It's like 2 hours and 28 minutes or something like that. They spend less than 15 minutes on the stuff they liked, and that includes initial impressions. Okay, the rest of it is all critique. So if you haven't seen the film and you're just wondering like how like the impression it left, that's it. And these are people who liked The Force Awakens. Like
they went in far more optimistically than
Exactly.
most of us. Not counting Antoine, who was also optimistic in the film. It says a lot. Antoine, when we first did Force Awakens, was optimistic about this coming trilogy and the Star Wars as a whole, and now he's so he's just so
Jaded.
done with it. He doesn't want to even cover the damn thing, and I don't blame him at all. Jeremy Jahns is another example of someone who's lost the light on that. He's like, okay, what's happening here? That being said, we are still open to new content as long as it's good. You know, we are going to cover Mandalorian. It's not that we're just completely writing off everything, but when it comes to this trilogy in particular, you know, what can we say?
We're pretty much done at this point.
I'm done with movies. Star Wars movie. I don't need another Star Wars movie. It will take something really special for me to change my mind on that point. I would have been happy if they'd never made another one, like, period, after the prequels. And even the prequels, I'm fine with them existing. I just wish they'd been tailored so much extensively. Someday I'll do that. Someday I will give my rewritten version of you know, the saga.
We've spoken about wanting to do that for a while.
It'd be a very interesting discussion in and of itself.
But
general
these films, they never needed to exist. I do want to talk about when you said like we're open to stuff that as long as it's good. We have a couple good things to say about this movie, or at least I do. I don't want to speak for you guys, but like it's written down in our notes that we have a section for pros and cons. So here's our short pros section.
Yeah.
For me, I don't have much to say. Okay, and these all come with asterisks. Okay, like none of these are just like full on good, but they were based on my expectations from the trailer. They were much better than I thought they were going to be. I thought C-3PO was going to turn evil and shoot everybody with a bazooka because that's what it looked like in the trailer.
and that's how far we were willing to accept them falling. Yeah, that's how tells you says a lot, doesn't it?
The fact that didn't even come close to happening, I was like, nice, C-3PO, you're just a character. Cool.
He actually gets quite a bit to do in this movie.
Weirdly, precisely, because the droids aren't characters in these films. That's why. It's just like, oh, he exists again. That's nice. You know, to a point. It's we'll get to, again when we talk about distractions. We'll talk about what they did with that. But yeah, it was nice to know he wasn't completely insane as they was before.
Yeah, I mean they did some really stupid and pointless stuff with him in terms of story, but like they didn't ruin his character. And it got like the only legitimate intended laugh for me when after they sank through the quicksand or whatever that was. When they're down there, like Poe's like, you know, Finn, Ray. He's like, oh, you didn't ask my name, but I'm here and I'm safe. So like, that got me. I thought that's a good line. Like in another context, that'd be fine. That's perfectly C-3PO, and it was funny. It was a small thing, and it says a lot that's on my list of pros out of this whole film. But I liked it. That's my one thing. C-3PO. I liked him.
I mean, I think this film actually handled comedy in general a little better than Last Jedi.
Agreed.
That was so
agreed.
bad though.
Well, it was slapstick in the previous film. In this one, it's cheesy and probably too frequent given the tone that they're trying to capture for the film overall. But there were a lot. There
was one area that was terrible, and I think we can all agree.
Oh yeah,
it's one specific conversation between Leia and somebody. Right? Like, but anyway.
There's some technical restrictions with that.
That was Last Jedi bad. That was
Last Jedi bad.
Yeah. I'm willing to give that one a pass though because they obviously were technically restricted by that one. But
that doesn't affect the writing.
It's called
that doesn't affect the writing.
Right.
But in terms of the Leia approach overall, getting out of order a bit. But the Leia thing overall, I think they handled very well given what they had available.
Really?
That was something they could have.
Oh wow.
I mean, I don't think it was good.
Too. Like they had to write around her. You know.
I thought it was embarrassing.
I don't think it was good in any stretch of the imagination. But I think given the fact that they probably had nothing to work with to start with, I'm surprised it made it as cohesive as it was. I don't think it was good, but I'm just saying I'm willing to give it way.
I think it was the best
than they did everything else.
Yeah, I think it was the best possible ever they could have possibly done.
I thought it was so silly because, like, after Carrie Fisher passed away, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to CG her," but they did. They did.
Yeah, and they lied. They blatantly lied.
Since you did that, why wouldn't you just make all these scenes so much better than this shit? Like to me, I thought it was really like it was so obviously not her most of the time, and just somebody with a wig, and like shooting from the back, you know. And she's saying like weird snippets of conversation, and like that one where she's like, "Oh, you got to be more optimistic. Be more optimistic." And he's like, "We're all gonna die, and it's great." It's like, what's this fucking? Why is this in the movie? Like, I was embarrassed.
Let's stay away from that for a moment because that's a major con for me, and I want to discuss that in great depth.
But that's Leia. But that's tied to the Leia dynamic.
No, for sure.
That's a direct spawning of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I just mean what they did in terms of the overall material. I don't think it was again written in any way good, but just the fact that it wasn't like 2 seconds of film and had nothing to do with the plot. I was willing to give it at least a little bit of credit
okay.
for that.
I get what you mean there. That's okay. Yeah, it was a little bit, but it was also so confusing.
Oh, for sure. No, it wasn't good, but it was more substantial than I was expecting. That's all. That's all I want to give it that on that front.
Okay.
But yeah,
I was expecting them just to give her a few lines and then just to kill her off screen, but no.
I thought that would have been better than what they did.
It's more enjoyable.
Really?
That's just my
Character,
opinion.
yeah.
Yes. But that's just my opinion. I would have written in the opening crawl, Leia died.
Oh my god!
Like at some point, because that would have been more graceful than like what they give us, in my opinion.
Wow.
But yeah.
Okay, back to
our very, very limited list of pros. My
it's the best looking Star Wars movie ever made.
See, people say that, and I'm not willing to give it that credit beyond the fact that it's just the latest one. Because yes, the visuals are stunning in terms of visual fidelity, right? But that's true of this entire sequel trilogy. That's something we've always consistently praised. It looks very, very, very good. But for this one in particular, the framing of what we're seeing, even certain snippets of action that I thought would otherwise be pretty engaging, just on the pure visual spectacle alone, it was very much like cut away, cut away, cut away, cut away, move, 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 move. You didn't really have a chance to sit down and appreciate anything, and when you did, it was going on for 5 minutes, like the duels.
For me, I would.
No, I agree. The pace was definitely too quick in the editing, but I just felt like the cinematography itself, though, was really competently done, and that's something J.J. Abrams has always excelled at, especially with those wide shots when they're like landing on the planets and stuff. I thought those were beautifully done.
I think visually they're appealing. It's too concept for me though. It's too
for me
rather than it doesn't put you in the moment. It's just like, hey, look at this pretty picture, and then moving away. You never feel like you're grounded in the scenes. At least not in my opinion.
But you can't disagree that each planet felt unique.
I mean,
at least it did.
Within the film, sure. I mean, they're not in any way unique for Star Wars overall, but they're like they're visually interesting and separate from one another in the actual film itself in isolation. Mm-hmm. Sure, I'll agree with that. But I just don't think. I think it's sorry, Matt, you go.
You sure?
Yeah,
no, I don't want to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
Okay. For me, I think it has some of the more ambitious and creative visuals throughout. I think if I was going to give a singular best looking to something, I might go with Rogue One as a whole, because this had things I didn't like the look of that balanced out the stuff I did. Not very many, but they were so notable. I'll just say everything that involved Palpatine, but we can get there later.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
But also, there was something else that jumped out at me, like when I was thinking of that, but I can't think of it at this precise moment. But on the point of the visuals, I do think that I still give it kudos for looking as good as it does, because I saw like 12 trailers before this movie. And one of them was a Dr. Dolittle movie starring
Sherlock Holmes.
Robert Downey Jr.
starring Sherlock Holmes, because it's basically the same character by the looks of it.
starring Sherlock Holmes or Robert Downey Jr. And he's a great actor and I like him, but I have no interest in this movie because it's the same producers that did the recent Alice in Wonderland movies, and I think those are so ugly looking in terms of how like their CGI, and it looks like that, and I'm like, ooh, that looks gross. And that like immediately contrasted with this. I go, yeah, this is really high grade CGI. Like this is like the best in the business today. Like this looks really good. And I think I wouldn't have had that thought though, like if I hadn't just, because I do agree, Callan, it's kind of just the standard. So it's not like that really wins the film much points, but I do still want to praise it because of how bad
I like praising it in
CGI
particular
is.
Because the creative team behind that and pulling that off work their asses off. And I don't like the fact that frankly, the best, like I say, the best in the business work effort is overshadowed. Yeah, precisely. It's overshadowed by the quality of the script and just the direction overall. I think they need to be given as much praise as possible because they deserve it. For the entire trilogy as well. That goes for Last Jedi. Last Jedi is a beautifully, and with that one scene in particular, exquisitely.
Holdo's sacrifice.
That is just a literal breathtaking moment of cinematic history, and it's put in that film. It's like, we need to give them credit for that. But yeah, aside from that, the other major pro for me, the other pro that exists for me is is the barest hint of potential for a trilogy that could have been that we see in the Rey training scene at the beginning of this film. I take that out and put it in your head in a New Jedi Order scenario with her being just a student in a temple class and going to do that. what that could have been. I mean, that was a really well executed scene, nice visuals, nice ideas, nice exploration of the Force. Putting aside the fact that she should not be on the caliber that she is if she's capable of doing that kind of Force levitation thing at the beginning, but it visually was very engaging, and I liked the little story beat, and I thought the idea that they had playing with there.
I agree with that sentiment applied to a lot of things, including the dynamic between like the main core characters, like the three of them. I think they're really strong performers. They just aren't given anything to do. Whatever I could say about the misdirection or the terrible mistakes in the screenwriting process, I wouldn't complain about a single performer in any of these films. And I think
Agreed.
I think it's important to say. I'm not familiar with them. You know, it's like I don't have a prior bias. I didn't know Adam Driver before that. I know he's done stuff before this, but I haven't seen it. I've seen him in a lot of things now. I mean, he's a solid actor he's a solid actor in these. He just has shit to do. John Boyega, I've never seen him, but I thought, this is going to sound weird. Finn has almost nothing to do in this movie at all.
Or any of them.
Well,
this one, though.
In this one in particular. No, in The Force Awakens.
I mean, at least
he's definitely a character in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But I'll give him that. In the last one, they gave him stupid things to do. But
it was something to do. I mean,
yeah, but this time he's just there because contractual obligation. He had to be there, I guess. But there's something about the way he carries himself in this where he has a kind of maturity to him, like the way he carries himself. I'm like, you'd be really good if there was like a story that was using you on any level.
Completely agreed. On all the
because he was such a buffoon in the first one, you know. And I go, wow, like this is a character here, or it should be. It's not, but it should be. And you know, same goes with Oscar Isaac, but not to the same extent because he's had more to do than Finn. But yeah, I agree. There's a lot of wasted potential here for sure. It's a waste of potential and time, this entire trilogy, really, in many ways. But
that scene in particular just caught my attention because of what it could have been. And the biggest sole issue we've had with these films from a setting and story perspective is they cut the idea of the new Jedi, which was so fundamentally stupid because it was the only way they could connect to the rest of the saga. But
it is bad, but I don't even think that that's the worst thing because they messed up everything, like not just the Jedi.
No, for sure. But I just mean that's the one.
Yeah. I'm not even saying I'm not putting words in your mouth. I know you're not saying that.
If you could choose one fix for the story and setting overall and the narrative they took, I would put that in because that at least connects it to the rest of the saga. As in the Jedi have returned, and now we can see what they do with it, rather than just the Jedi returned and they're gone again for the next scene. That's the one thing that kills the connection to the rest of the saga for me.
It's a combination though, because if it's one fix, if it's this or that, I'd go don't assassinate Luke as a character completely.
Oh, like, for sure, yeah. But I mean, overall setting stuff, not individual plot choices. Sorry, yeah, fair enough. But just and that would be by design because he'd be leading the order. So you know, it would be a thing there. But
I get what you're saying, but you know, like it is kind of two changes in one though that way. But yeah, I think that scene it was good, you know. But like you said, it's so like it's such a glimmer, like you know, like it's not really.
If we had like multiple scenes like this throughout the trilogy,
and I also felt that Poe was right. When he's like, "What are you doing training? You should be like fight." Like, what is she doing training? She can just do everything anyway. So
and she is her best fighter. Why isn't she out there?
Yeah, she doesn't need to train. She's the best at everything, as we've already discussed.
Yeah. And then my other pro was Chewie. Like Chewie was fine. They didn't fuck up Chewie.
That one moment.
They used him for something dumb.
That one moment was the one that like hit actually. That was the only time that the emotions actually connected for me.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for me.
They didn't happen in The Force Awakens when Han died.
Yeah,
exactly.
They didn't dwell on it long enough, and they did nothing with it immediately afterwards. It was just gone. I was like, okay, well that's nice to know. It was just completely irrelevant after that first reaction. But that reaction shot, as short as it was, well, yeah, of course. But that reaction shot here, I was like, oh god, that's painful. That really damn hurts. But they should have dwelled on it. That should have been a good 2 minutes of the film devoted to just the reaction and extension of the conversations.
They didn't dwell on it when they thought he was dead. You know what I mean? They didn't dwell on anything the way they were supposed to. But I totally agree.
I will say this is minor, but I like the new Chewbacca actor. I think he carries those expressions really well. So that's another pro.
The only stuff I didn't like about Chewbacca was he looks new. Like he looks just clean and shiny and new. And I just watched A New Hope, and he looks just so much more real and gritty in that. And here it just looks like he just looks not right. A little too polished, I guess. But so I didn't like that, and of course I didn't like the pointless fake out death that they did nothing with in the story. That was not his fault.
They didn't even do anything with that, with the whole reason for the death either. It was like, okay, this is a thing that she struggles with for about 10 seconds and then ignores. Like, okay, she's not worried about
it. And then they reveal that it's okay like 2 scenes later.
Dark side. Like after 2.5 films where she didn't. But anyway, that's the end of the pros.
Yeah, do you have anything, Evan?
Anything more than we've already said?
I mean, it was a very short list. There must be something there.
I can appreciate the attempt that they wanted to expand the lore in terms of what could be done with the Force, because there are unique ways. Just roll with me for a second.
No, we're with you. We're with you.
I'm saying I appreciate the attempt. They are attempting to expand the lore of the Force and what can be done with it, and they use it in ways that have never been seen in film before, and some of which even harkens back to the old EU. So I can appreciate the attempt.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy with what they did with a lot of it and how it was executed
or any
in
of
the scenes or any of it, but I can appreciate that they're at least trying to push the bar and explore some new things, because that's been kind of sparse in these movies. In fact, we got maybe 3 or 4 different Force powers throughout this film that have never been shown before, so I can at least appreciate the attempt to do that.
Yeah, no, I can agree that they did put on film things that exist and are explored interestingly in the EU and elsewhere. But yeah, it's the execution again. I mean, everything about these new Force powers in the film is just, with the exception of Force healing, apart from the fact that she shouldn't be able to do it, is terrible. It's like these abilities are interesting and engaging on a narrative level in a really big way, and the reason we used to like them, essence transfer, the kind of storm ability, the Force.
I hate it. Wait a minute. I always hated the Force storm.
Oh yeah, likewise. But it can be.
I just want to say that real quick. You guys are allowed to like it.
No, it's too overpowered. But I find the idea interesting in the right context. But the Force kind of.
Tom Veitch is probably going. Yeah, Dark Empire doesn't look too bad now, does it? The author.
Yeah, the Force bond stuff. This is stuff that works really powerfully on a narrative level across other stories in the EU. But the point is, the narrative is framed around them by and large. This just has abilities featured with absolutely no context, no strain, no explanation for anything. Rey should, even no matter how powerful she is, should not be able to do pretty much any of this, because as far as we're aware, she's still just a nobody who's had a week of training. Leia is a Jedi. Was a Jedi decades ago. She didn't complete her mastery. Why is she able to teach her this stuff?
Because Leia trained her. It says so in the opening.
She has the books. Fine. She has the books, Callan, remember? She read.
Sacred Jedi texts. She's got those, man.
Page turners, they were not.
To me, yeah, it's fine. Most of the abilities in principle, and it's not the fact that it's a Force bond. I love Force bonds. Force bonds are a thing. Force bonds are supposed to be a thing. The Force is a bond. It connects all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Force bond is fine.
And it's even an interesting idea that
that's magical everything. That's the bullshit. Fuck that. But we'll get to the dyad.
But even the bond between those two is an interesting idea. Conceptually, that could have worked really well. But it had to be.
Those were the best scenes in the Last Jedi.
But it had to be from the very start of the trilogy. It had to be the narrative had to kind of wrap around it, at least in terms of the Jedi and the Force stuff. But it's just mentioned in this film, and they play with it for 3 scenes, and that's it. It just turns the entire idea of the Force bond into
that's what they talk about. It's not they don't talk about it, the bond at all. It's the dyad. That's what they.
But it's just another MacGuffin. This film is MacGuffin the film, in every way.
There's 4 MacGuffins,
physical items and Force abilities. Yeah.
Yeah,
but can we back up and talk about the opening crawl? Are
we getting into cons now? Because that's definitely a con.
Yeah, we're firmly into cons. We're
done with pros. The dead speak. The Emperor has a podcast. He's broadcasting his what?
Why is he even doing that? Aside from the silliness of the idea, why is he doing that? Why is he revealing himself? That's so not Sith. That's so not Palpatine. It's like everything we like about the original character is just wiped clean and said, "Nah, I'm back."
What did it say?
I'm the Emperor, and I've CC'd everyone throughout the galaxy with this email.
And I'm back. I was like, what? It was so
Jesus.
You've got mail.
Literally everything about
God.
the Emperor in this film is just dog shit.
It's not awful.
It's just
so bad.
It's just abysmal.
And, I mean, Ian McDermott really tries hard with the role, but god damn.
It's not his fault, yeah. But I mean,
No.
it's just so it's laughable. Like it's literally. I mean, I was enjoying myself in the third act, which I don't want to jump ahead, but it was that level of corny bad for me, where I just had to laugh. But the opening scene to me set the tone for the entire film, because that description, which is just hilarious to me, combined with the question like you raised, Callan, like why is he doing that on any level? You can ask the question from like any POV, it doesn't make any sense, like especially considering not just the saga as a whole, but just the events of this singular film. It makes no sense what he's working at or what he's working toward.
It's probably the single biggest issue I have this entire film. I mean, the trilogy as a whole for sure, but this film in particular is the why of things. Literally every single scene in this film, with almost no exception, you're asking, but why? Either on a narrative level, either on a character motivation level, a military strategy level. You know, there's why to everything here, and it never has a good answer for it. It's just
but it was
infuriating.
that followed up shortly afterward, where he finds like a Sith wayfinder, and he's on his way to
Exegol. No,
Exegol.
What is it?
Exegol, yeah.
Exegol, right?
Exegol.
Not Korriban.
Or Drummond Koss or Zios or any of the other things they ripped off. But yeah, so Secret Sith planet, he goes there, and I guess there's just like no security, and he can walk into like this inner sanctum. And
the world doesn't exist. There's no tangibility to any of these trilogies. We're well established.
Yeah. But this, it was like all the questions you could possibly, even if you were like a fan of this, like go like into and you want like the deep questions and like the deep lore, like what is all this? What does it mean? I made Snoke, and there's like a pickle jar filled with Snokes, like right there. I just thought, what? They just gave up. They're not even trying.
the fact that even the bloody rebel nobody, there's just Merry from Lord of the Rings just says, "Oh, cloning and dark Sith arts. Yes, this must be how it is achieved," and that's it. That's all we get. This random thing. It's just like...
It was so stupid. Like he's like, you made Snoke. Well, why? Why'd you do that? Like I mean, like so you can you can reach out to Kylo. Like you said, I'm every voice you've ever heard inside your mind, right? Which is a cool the way that they did that. That was cool. If it in another trilogy with another outline, that could be cool. And also you'd have to accept the idea that Palpatine coming back was a good idea, which is not.
Yeah.
But it was well produced. Okay. But that means, okay, so your entire career, I've been the voice of your grandfather. Not really. It really hasn't been Anakin. Snoke, it was just me. I'm every voice inside your head. Why are you sending out a broadcast? You could just call him. You just like mentally like, come to me, my apprentice. And also, because you can do that, and you really don't give a shit about this kid, but you care about your granddaughter, why don't you just contact her? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What's the point of Snoke? What's the point of him having an interest in Ren?
What is the point of any of it? What's the point of Kylo Ren? It doesn't make any sense.
He's a part of the Dyad, Matt. Don't you get it?
Yeah, he needs the Dyad. Which he doesn't figure that out until later.
But the fact that he can do this, it looked totally like last minute. He didn't even know that. But yeah, like the fact that he can do that, and he's been Anakin or Vader's voice inside this kid's head all his life. He could have pretended to be Luke and summoned Rey to him immediately, like, "Come to me, Rey," or whatever. And it's just a big like farce. And he's like, "I've got you now." He could have done that. Why didn't he do that?
He's clearly aware of her. You know, she's called the Scavenger every 5 seconds in this film. He is aware of her existence. So it's just, why couldn't he reach out? I mean, there is the fact that she's, magically capable of doing everything and is somehow able to cloak her presence from Ren, I guess. Because Ren, even when they're force bonding and she can see where he is, he's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" And it's pretty clear behind you, dude. Just look around.
Well, I guess he can't see that. I don't know. It was really weird. The other thing about that is I'm pretty sure she had the dagger in her belt, and he didn't. And she got that from his room, but he had to wait for like the Vader mask to fall for him to. She's in my room. So it didn't make sense. But anyway, just the whole opening scene was so atrocious, like so atrociously bad that I was like, this movie, I gave up with it, and I was already like, okay.
And we all said that. That was the first thing all of us said. Is that the opening crawl lost us from you to Antoine. It's just nope. Nope.
I'm done.
I mean, even just the first line, the silliness of it. Also, voices from the dead speak. It's like, what? Why is that your opening line?
Corny. It's corny, and
it's a shorter crawl too. It's only like 3 blocks.
Well, having just watched A New Hope, that's also true there, but it makes sense. The galaxies at Civil War, droids are with Leia. Somebody stole some plans for this big ball. And
as we've said before, it's the first film. The original trilogy had a lot more leeway for not being grand in scale and detailed.
I'm not criticizing.
I'm
saying
I know, but I'm saying that's
more into that same word count that was relevant. You know what I mean? They did much more with that.
But also, more with the space.
It's true across the trilogy as a whole, though. The original trilogy can be excused for one hell of a lot more for being the opening salvo of the story. The people say, but the original trilogy did it this way, and no one complained. It's like, yeah, because it wasn't the combination of 40 years of story history. The simplicity and complete lack of any depth to these films is not something that you can equate to the originals and say it's fine because of that reason. This is just, there's so much nothing. It just from the opening context crawl alone, like what is the resistance to this stage? Even after 3 films, it's been raised up, destroyed, raised up, and in no iteration have we understood anything about it. All the galaxy at large.
It was just like a dozen people at the end of the last movie. Where are all these other people in ships?
Put it this way, I was thinking in my head, you guys deserve to all die when you went on that mission. Like that final mission is like, well, you deserve to die in the first 2 minutes. Like, there is no reason for you to win this. That's how stupid the setup was on the whole situation. It's like, come on, oh god, there's so much to talk about Lando and his whole insanity.
Well, see, I don't have any questions about that, or nearly as many as I do about the final order. What the fuck? Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Why? What's the point of this? Like, at least in Dark Empire, when Palpatine reestablished the Dark Empire, he actually had reasoning for it, and he actually had a goal to establish a new Sith order.
And also, by that point, we'd had Thrawn trilogy, so we know the state of the galaxy, we know the state of the Republic and the Empire and the Remnant, and everything that everything makes sense. This has no build set up for any of this.
I hate Dark Empire, and you guys are allowed to like it.
I don't like it either. I hate it too.
I have a slight soft spot for it, but even I can acknowledge it's incredibly flawed.
Yeah, and I hate it as well.
The main problem with it is the same main problem that happens with this, and that it undermines the whole point of Jedi. But anyway, how he first of all, how do you survive? He didn't. So
everyone's wondering about how Palpatine came back.
He got thrown down an energy shaft and blew up. Yeah, he blew up. All right, on his own. Okay, and then an artificial planet-sized thing blew up around him. Okay, like, do you understand the cataclysm of and all it did was like it singed off his fingernails.
Well, the idea I think is that he regenerated and cloned and just didn't do it very well. But even that is just why it's stupid.
Never explained.
I mean, that's ridiculous. And especially, so he'll put out like brand new Snoke clones, but he won't. I mean, especially because like his goal here is like he needs a body to hop into. but anyway, that's almost not even the most important question. That's really bad. It's a big question. But so you built these planet-destroying Star Destroyers.
Oh my god,
right?
they had
also
another
from
Death
Dark
Star.
Empire. They're really copying a lot of Dark Empire
another
stuff.
Death Star. It's like, why?
No, they copied the Galaxy Gun, Callan, from Dark Empire.
Yeah, but my point is, there's a concept. These are just more Death Stars. For the layman who doesn't know anything about the lore, they're just, look, a lot of mini Death Stars. And it's so fundamentally stupid because the second they deploy, well, that's it. You've lost. That they exist. Everyone surrenders. Galaxy's
like
doomed.
10,000 Star Destroyers each
10,000.
with...
But how? A Star Destroyer, the crew is like something like 30,000?
Yeah.
Like, what are you...
30,000 times 10,000. That's
it's fine, Matt. They're drawing from the young of the galaxy. They're harvesting young, so it explains how they're fielding all these troops. Don't worry.
You'd need the population of America, like, and also, why? After you've built them, what are they doing underground? And also, did he lift them up with a force?
Well, I mean, nothing about it makes sense. Nothing about it makes sense. They're not supposed to be
much bigger questions.
These aren't
much bigger questions.
I know.
Than like the Rebel Alliance at this point. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
these aren't ships that I've built on the ground. These aren't ships that are manned by like 10 people. These aren't ships that would be just sat there doing nothing if you had them available. Nothing about the fact they could build Starkiller Base without any explanation as to what the order is. You know, these guys built something that was like 10 times the size of the second Death Star or whatever it is.
That's ridiculous. You're right, but this bothers me even more. And I hated Starkiller Base, but this was like, what? Like, you know, and it's also At least
put it this way. Put it this way. You don't care about world building when you're as much as I do, and it's bothering you. Which means it must be like fundamentally broken.
Because it is. It's unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like, and for like even a layperson, like I consider myself, when it comes to like world, I don't care about like infrastructure being exact. Okay, like I'm willing to just nod my head and go along with your story, but at the very least with Starkiller Base, they put it to use. Like you what do you why you're secretly the First Order basically because he made Snoke, right? What are you doing? Like just because he didn't have like the Wi-Fi connect, like so he couldn't like launch the shuttles.
Starkiller Base. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't make any sense to me. Like you,
and also he had that for a while. Bear in mind, well, I mean, aside from the fact that time doesn't exist in this films, in theory, it takes a while for people to travel to it. So when he said they're ready to launch, he could have just launched them all and then be ready in space, waiting for the fleet to turn up. Not that they should have been able to do anything anyway. Even with them turning up when they did, it should have been, oh look, 10 fighters, snap fingers, all wings fire, all lasers fire, everything, anti-air, everything. They shouldn't have had 10 seconds in that AO. It's just
I told you because I saw this movie before you. I was like, you're going to have a field day when it comes to the world building issues with this. I mean,
and the reason it matters is because something as I said before, there's no tangibility in this trilogy. If you put even an ounce of thought into anything, everything about the story just falls flat on its face. I mean, Lando says it here. The question is, how did you win before? It's like, oh well, we had each other. It's like, no, you had a plan and a cohesive military and a lot of financial and political support. Just spread out and dispersed. It was difficult, but you had some logical cohesion behind you, even in just the films, to say nothing of the EU. Here, you are like 30 people on a planet.
That was
you didn't just win with the power of friendship.
That was a direct response to like internet proper internet criticism of you don't really have like a group in these movies, and it was the same thing like when C3PO was saying goodbye to his friends that he doesn't know and who don't really like him or don't seem to, It's just it was trying desperately. That's this movie. Desperate. It was trying desperately to try to create some sort of sense of meaning and togetherness and unity, and that's what love will save us, right? Like
they are definitely trying to focus in and bring up the
did you notice of the crew, like she was not here at all? Like she had to go look up some data.
Rose
room,
so
she's like, okay, bail. She flatlined. It's like, oh god. But also, can I just say, when did the marketability of R2D2 go down the drain? I mean, did they just think they've reached peak and can't possibly push him further than that?
One of the most
precisely.
I think they're just wasting him.
Precisely. So why isn't he sent? Have they just got to the point?
Things.
I know. Have they just got to the point where they say, we can't push him anymore. He's going to sell no matter what we do. So let's just leave him in the background. Why aren't they doing anything with him? He's been done. He's just been sat there.
I thought the same thing, and I've been thinking the same thing the whole time. Like in the first movie, he was literally covered like underneath a blanket for most of it, and this time. I thought they did literally nothing with him, actually. But he actually was in Poe's ship with him. He got plugged into
the fighter.
He's basically a USB port in the series.
I had to look that up after I'd already seen the movie. So he clearly didn't do anything memorable, so at least not to me. Granted, I was struggling with everything else that was going on. So it's possible I missed it.
He did the day
at least in Last Jedi, he had that moment where he brought up the Leia hologram to Luke. Wasn't a great moment, but it was something.
And he had an encounter with Luke in the Last Jedi. The fact that he spoke to him and stuff. It was had a presence. In this, he's just a data port at the beginning, and he brings back C-3PO's memory. He's like,
because they had to make room for J.J. Abrams' cameo as the Conehead droid, who really was harmless. He wasn't bad, but he was just a horrendous waste of time in this movie that had no time to waste.
I kept expecting him to become relevant. Like maybe he had a bit of data on the parents or something. He was sat there in the corner.
He had the data.
I'll teach you
the planet, but that's it.
Characters don't need relevance; they just pop in and out of the plot.
But again, there's just nothing to root you in this trilogy. There's no touchstone. There's no center piece for you to revolve your perspective around in terms of the state of the galaxy, in terms of the motivation of characters. There's nothing here that gives you any sort of cohesive through line whatsoever. It's just things happen, and your mileage may vary from 0 to 0.1 on how important and significant they are. Like there's no.
You say that, and I wish you were right, but some people got something out of these. You know what I mean? You
I don't know.
just
How.
need to read,
I'm sorry if you're out there and you enjoy these films. I hats off to you for enjoying them. I'm glad you have got something out of them. But please let me know why you think these are good, because I don't see how anyone could. I don't see how anyone can hold the original. I don't see how anyone can hold up the originals to the heights they do without also just completely dismissing this trilogy, because everything that makes them good, the originals, it's not only absent but like counter intuitive.
It goes out of its way to
it just shits on everything good about the originals. This film. Intentionally, otherwise. At different points.
And I'm not a defender of the prequels, but it also does so with the prequels. Like the few.
How does it make the prequels look good? You know, people are holding up. Don't get me wrong.
Good in quote.
Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down in this, because I get what you're saying. I just firmly disagree with, like, because I think it's just an aspect of like the society we live in, with the just knee jerk just like line drawn in the sand. Like, it's this way with politics, fan opinions, health. Just like everything has to be this way or that way, and everyone else is doing it wrong in so many people's heads. You know, it's hard to have a conversation about pretty much anything. But on the internet, I think that's not true, of course, with like, you know, people still, or like in person, that still can be reasonable. But there's a lot of people going, you know, like, and they've been. I think this really started after Last Jedi, where it was like.
Sure.
George was a genius, and like, they should have never, like, give it back to George and let him complete this. Ugh. George Lucas is a crazy man, and if you don't agree with that, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think you're watching the same behind the scenes footage I am. Just listen to his commentary. The man, if he's not on medication, and having a bad reaction, then he needs some medication. He doesn't make any sense.
When you really think about it, episode 2 is R2-D2's story.
He said that, for those of you who don't know.
We've never had a character this funny before, so.
Right. I mean, the brain that comes up with Jar Jar and commits to Jar Jar and has Jar Jar pass a bill with sweeping legislation that starts a war. No, like these are not good ideas, folks. but anyway, I don't think that this validates the prequels, but it does underscore at least the power of a singular vision. And that's what George definitely had. You know, like, even with he failed to execute it in some ways, but
the cohesion.
He had a plan and a through line.
Yeah,
the through line. He actually wanted to see, you know, through.
The through line. The cohesion is
recognizable as a story. Like, what is the story of this trilogy? And that's the question I think we can wrap up on. You know, like, so let's like think on that for all the good that'll do us. but you know, I'm trying to think, like, when the inevitable box set comes out, what will the image be? You know what I mean? Like, what are you saying this is the saga of? Is it just going to be a picture of a lightsaber?
That's something that just has to be acknowledged. This is not a part of the same saga. They said it's the final conclusion. In what way does this relate to anything to do with the previous saga? From day one, from Force Awakens beginning, they've completely undercut everything that was relevant in the Return of the Jedi. They just went, okay, everything that happened, everything that we concluded on, gone. We're at the New Republic, it's blown up. Not that we know what it is in the first place. Empire is just immediately back, and it's more powerful than ever for no explanation. Okay, Jedi, they're all dead. No, restarting the Jedi. The Jedi have to end now. It's like, well, what's the connection? How is this in any way related to the original saga? Not that we know anything about the fact that it's in the same galaxy. Like, there's even just looking at the prequel stuff, there's no Naboo, there's no aside from the random shot in this film, there's no Bespin, there's no anything we know about the original films. There is no connection in this trilogy. It may as well be a different universe.
I mean, well, that's the question. It's like, I get it. You know, this is like, if you took the name Star Wars off and you put like these films out, I mean, who would be singing their praises? You know, I mean, maybe you find it like to be like a decent generic space action film if you're just like in love with that genre, or maybe even like them as quote unquote B movies. But if they didn't have the Star Wars logo, what would these be?
I mean, what would you get out of it?
I mean, the fact that we don't know what they are even with the Star Wars logo, it's like, I mean, what is happening right now? But
it's the only reason we're talking about it. You know, it's like, and it's really not Star Wars to any of us, I'm sure, but it's just we have to talk about it because the public demands it, right? But yeah, and it is
not that we don't appreciate your input,
for sure.
Yeah, but I mean,
I value our talking points. If anything else, we appreciate that. But just what can we say that hasn't been said before?
Nothing. Yeah, it's fascinating though. It's a fascinating screw up. But anyway, wanted to talk real quick because I know we talked about like MacGuffins, and we don't have to talk about them all. But can I talk about the one I really hated?
Yeah, sure.
Was the dagger?
Oh yeah. I mean, even just
the Goonies dagger when you had the
like, you realize that thing crashed
dagger.
like 40 years ago, guys. Why is someone made this? Why did someone even want the thing to be found?
Who made it?
It's
Why did they make it? And also on that planet, whatever, because that's not Endor, right? Because we cut back to it was a different moon of Endor. It was the third moon of Endor instead of the fourth moon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but anyway. So somebody, if you're standing from this exact portion, like trajectory, like it looks like, and you hold the dagger up, this little thing will come out and point to like the spot in the wreckage where another wayfinder is. And the person who has this is a card-carrying Sith sympathizer who has like a Cadillac medallion on his speeder that says, "Hey, I follow the Sith," because Poe's, "Hey, see that? That's a Sith insignia on me." It was like cop car or whatever. I mean, what it was like a Sith badge, a Sith patrol badge.
Also, this is small in comparison, but did anyone find it really weird they kept mentioning that Luke searched this and Luke was here before and Luke chased it?
Yes,
why didn't Luke find it himself?
How did he miss this
Was
shit?
he just completely incompetent?
I don't think he missed it. He just gave up for some reason. I think he took a break. And like that's when he had his bad dream. Here's another question though. Here's another question. So Lando came with him. Lando says, "Yeah, I helped him."
Luke just left him behind.
This presumably happened some time ago. And this event, even if you wanted to make the case that he just likes the culture of like this event, they said it only happens once every 42 years. So Lando's just been hanging out here on this like arid world for like no reason. What? And
it's just, as I said, it's the why of things. Everything just untangles into this mess.
It's literally everything though, because like the dead guy, the Sith agent, like who had the dagger, they were like, "What happened to him? Where's his vessel? Didn't he come here in a ship?" And Lando's like, "Yeah, it's out in the desert." I'm like, "Still? Like it's just there?"
It's like on top of a little hill. Like
apparently parked perfectly.
Apparently
like,
flyable.
You didn't do any forensics. It hasn't been looted by anybody. Nobody jacked it. Nobody came with like a parking meter.
Even
person.
in this
like,
film,
I mean,
the Imperial ship was looted on that random other ship planet that we've talked about. No, the one with the ship. They stripped it for parts, so they've established that as a thing. I mean, what?
I mean,
every little detail about this film just unravels.
Like they're like, "What happened to him?" And they just find like his perfect skeleton, like just, it's over there. Like I mean, it was like the worst Indiana Jones movie I've ever seen. And Crystal Skull was a better movie than this, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah. Poe's like, "Oh, I hate bones." I was like, "Okay, thanks for
why? Like, why does he have a problem with bones?
Who in the? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are people out there who don't like bones as much as anything else that exists. But why would you choose to make that narrative choice? It's like, okay, thanks for your contribution, Poe. Real useful.
What is that ad?
The C-3PO thing. If they wanted to kind of right, this is a world-building idea. It's cool. Putting like a blanket ban on all Sith knowledge. Why would you just not make them able to translate it full stop? Why would you say, "Sorry, you can't talk about it. You just can't"?
Well, I don't get why you would do that though, considering who he belonged to. I mean, you belong to like these Jedi. Like, why would you? I mean, it restricts your functionality.
Presumably speaking, that it was the fact that he was a Senate escort, so he had to say new programming. But whatever, you can hand wave that away. That's not a big deal.
I don't buy it.
The stupid thing is the fact that they can still read it. One, it should be really fucking difficult to read, not just something any old political droid can do. Not that he is any.
Well, he's
one,
not just any old political droid.
That's true. But but the fact that he can then say, "I can read this, I just can't tell you." So that's not going to keep the secret, guys. Especially not when any old droid person, even though it was really good, can just override it. It's like, oh.
It's a dumb idea. I don't get why you would program a droid to do that anyway, especially if you're a Jedi and you own him. Like be able to read this and translate everything, not only the really important stuff from our like sworn enemies. That has to be a secret. Yeah. Like, it's stupid. But
just because it's a complete random, but just because it occurred to me just now. One thing I want to point out is that droid thing was funny, if stupid, to me. That droid creator, or engineer, and also the character on that planet, the woman, the bounty hunter or whatever. She is pretty much the only character I've seen in this trilogy with any natural dialogue, and I thought, oh, that's a funny line.
Really?
Oh, that's some cool stuff. She's not a very good character, and they do nothing with her, but there were like 2 or 3 lines in there that I thought, that's really clever. I like that. Finally, some natural work.
She
I want to give
didn't make any impression on me other than why are you on screen right now?
She seemed completely
baffled
and superfluous. Doesn't really do much for me either.
Yeah, I completely agree on that level. She does nothing to the plot, or she shouldn't have been in the film. But I give credit to the people who wrote her.
Can I put it this way? I'm not sure if she was more or less pointless than the Afro lady who brought the horses. They were both really, really pointless.
Completely pointless.
And and you can't even make the case that she gave them the magic Sith Empire medallion that gets you wherever you need to go, because the other lady brought the all important horses, so they both contributed equally.
Different MacGuffins.
Equally pointless.
No, for sure. I completely agree, but I just meant specifically the lines of dialogue. I thought there was some good writing there.
That's fine. I didn't
witty stuff, I guess.
Yeah,
she didn't offend me aside from the fact she existed. But
the other thing though is that stupid MacGuffin. That's the MacGuffin that bugged me more than anything else. That medallion. This should get you anywhere. Yeah, because that ship goes. Oh look, someone's bringing a captain's identification. We should just let them on. There's not like a blanket ban on anyone boarding right now. There's not an escort party waiting for you on arrival. There's not a hangar full of work staff when you arrive. It's just everything about it just completely just pissed me off.
I agree.
Yes, but anyway, that's small.
When they got there as well, like I'm not a stickler for world building. Okay, I can accept that I can accept a lot. I really can, but really, there's no security
camera
on a Star Destroyer. Like even just you're in the middle of an unobstructed hangar bay where somebody who's just like even a dock worker, not even just like a person with weapons or
just any personnel. And this is the flag. This is the flagship of Ren's fleet. Why the hell is this not fully staffed? Even if it's just a case of everyone spread wide, there's a skeleton crew and everything. Why the hell is this flag on a critical operation with the supreme leader of the entire First Order? Just nothing. It's in a completely empty hangar bay. They should be carrying an entire wing.
The reason that they're doing this is because they have to get the dagger, and they're like, well, why? And Rey's like, I have a feeling.
Ooh. Oh, and that was the other thing. The I had a bad feeling line in this was absolute dog shit. Oh, really? You think you can see a bloody Empire patrol flying in at you? I have a bad feeling about this. Really? Thanks for
those have always been long.
Those have always. Those are.
They've always been bad, but that was particularly egregious.
Yeah. And also the whole thing where they whatever, Rey. So they got there together, right? And then she took off to find the dagger, and they went to do what exactly?
They went to
free Chewbacca.
Yeah,
that's right. We skipped.
Because we forgot that even though he died, he immediately came back. Even from the audience perspective, what was the point in killing him? So they revealed him coming back to life 2 scenes later.
It was just for a rug pull that served
the fake out was really lame because they had to have had 2 transports, but
they didn't have transports on screen, So it's
so how dumb is Finn? Where he sees Chewie get on, and then he turns around and he's like, Rey, they got.
How
Chewie,
dumb is that entire scene? Full stop. Because Rey, this omniscient person who can sense everything ever and hide her presence from people like the Emperor and Ren,
sense that Chewie's alive.
Yeah, and either she can't sense or she doesn't care. But also, why was she going up there in the first place? Oh, guys, I've got to go film the trailer. Bye. Just walking out into the sand and just what? Why is Ren charging her like that? Why is anything happening here? It's what are the Knights of Ren doing?
I don't.
Oh, Knights of Ren.
Oh, the Knights of Ren.
They take
that was
the
my
time.
favorite. Wait a minute. Early in the movie when they first showed up and they had the 2 stormtroopers, it's the Knights of Ren. Yeah, it is the Knights of Ren.
Cool.
That was the pinnacle of bad writing. What was that?
But also, they didn't do anything. You saw them.
They didn't get a single line.
You saw them looking at
a single line.
Bearing in mind, these guys were in the original opening crawl, Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren or whatever it was. What?
And I'm okay with it because what was it going to be?
It was always going to be stupid, but at least try. Yeah. Come on. Bear in mind, and again, it's not all. And people give credit to J.J. Abrams and say he was just running damage control. There wasn't much he could do. But let's not forget that he did the first film, which had just as many, not as many, but a lot of flaws by itself, including the Knights of Ren in particular. These guys did nothing. These were something that he could have worked with more. And they just come on the screen. Oh, they arrest Chewbacca and capture him, and then do nothing else. They just stay there. They don't take the ship. They don't help with Rey. None of that. They just fly off and then they fight Ren at the end. What have they accomplished as an agent in a film or a trilogy? They may as well be nothing.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
Yeah,
I just
no,
on my
completely
list of
useless.
problems, that's at the bottom of my problems.
Again,
It really,
for sure,
truly
for
is.
sure,
Yeah,
they're not
but,
they're not major issues, but it's just laughably stupid on top of this, and just that entire scene. It's like they look out the window. Where's Rey going? Oh, Chewbacca, go get her. Wait like 2 minutes. Chewbacca gets captured. The entire thing is like they're just on the other side of the rock. Ship sensors, Rey's force abilities. Like what is happening?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's all stupid. But I mean, the whole thing was like so that they could have like another tug of war with the Force, and then she accidentally shot it out of the sky because she has a hidden dark side apparently.
That just snaps off for no reason whatsoever. Like, oh, she got vaguely strained, even though she shouldn't be, because apparently she's good at everything, and just blasted bolt
Well,
off.
this time, well, the funny thing is like Kylo is way more like of a threat in this movie, which
he beats her multiple times.
Yeah, this is how he should have been introduced, and she should have been like a complete nothing to him because that would have made great drama, and she would have been in jeopardy every other time. And here it would have been, oh, I'm somewhat able to match him if it had been like built up to. That's so many what ifs are needed to make that situation work. So, but anyway, so back to whatever planet with.
Before we do, sorry, just the emotional side of that situation. Why the hell weren't they more bothered about the fact that she just killed Chewie? Why wasn't she more bothered about that?
Like we talked about that. Like they didn't spend any time with that.
No, not enough.
That's in the beginning of this.
Yeah, no, they didn't spend any time on his death, but they also didn't spend any time on her reaction to it. Like she actively,
same thing
from the audience perspective as well. She killed one of the blooded characters, and like, did the audience feel anything? I mean, I didn't because I knew it was all bullshit. Like, did you guys ever?
I think we've covered this. It's.
I was just like,
from all angles.
really, like it was so anticlimactic. I was more pissed than anything else.
Yeah, it was. Just,
I mean,
I didn't want to retread all ground. It was just fundamentally stupid.
The trailer shows Chewie and Lando like at the end, like going woo, like into battle or whatever. So I was like, this is crap. And sure enough, 2 minutes later, it's Chewie's fine because it's Disney and they don't really want to worry the kiddies, I guess, for too long about poor Chewie. I saw this film with like 9 people on a Friday night. That was weird. There was like nobody in there, but there was like a kid, and of course he's like sitting right behind me. Like, this whole fucking theater is like open. Like go away, kid. You know. And he only reacted like a handful of times the whole movie, and that was. It wasn't like a strong reaction though. He was just like, oh no, Chili. And then like, yay! Like 2 minutes later when he was like alive. So I was like, oh, that was a real raw moment there, you know. But anyway, yeah, it sucked. Yeah. But so with like the heist or whatever, like for the secret Sith dagger, that's when we have the dyad in the moment where we talk about you're his granddaughter, like you're Rey Palpatine.
No!
Like I
kept expecting her to scream no, and I was like, go on, do it, scream no, scream no, and jump off the back of that hangar. Go on.
Would have been great. Like I mean, but it was so like, and it's like, okay, you guys took like the worst single fan theory that you could possibly choose, and plugged it into this movie. But it's also just the fact I just love how strident they are about like their sad attempt at explanation. We're a dyad in the Force, and like, you know, 2 combined, and like the Emperor doesn't know. So how do you know he doesn't know? What is a dyad? like I mean, so dyad means anything goes. Like it just means you can do whatever.
2
like,
random grandchildren of like super powerful Force beings just automatically become connected in the Force. Apparently, it's like or connect like themselves or whatever it happens to be. It's just stupid. The idea could have been played with in a different story in a different time, but this is just trite added to a garbage fire. It's just pointless.
Well, it's like even later, Palpatine's like, "Oh, I haven't unseen in generations."
Yeah,
like you've seen this before.
He goes,
"You've seen this before."
A power like life itself. It's like it is.
This is even better than the Chosen One.
The fact that these 2 exist, like, means that you could create yourself again. Like I mean, it's just them being like
it's just stupid. Like I don't even dislike the idea. I would like the idea if these guys had been, if it was like a thing. No. I do completely with this context, but I mean just the pure idea on a story level. Just a force bonded, you know, duo of like certain lineages. I like the idea of them being like. Going back to this idea of the new order. If these had just been two random people in a class that were seeked out by the enemy because they had a particular connection over, and they weren't super powerful, they just had this connection force wise, would have been fine. But no, this is just to explain how they're so powerful and inexplicably so, like how they're able to do what they do without any strain or context or connection to any of the lore. It's just hand wave the fact that these guys are super, beyond what they should be, or at least she is. He should be way more than he is given his threat level. It's just, I mean, it's so contrived.
It's for me, contrived is the word, and it's also again, I'm not pulling from EU here, okay? I need the viewers to understand that I'm not expecting it to adhere to EU or stuff that I believe because of like deep lore about like the Jedi and the Sith. I'm just talking about like the saga. Even although I don't agree, although I will say, I'll say this to the day I die, that George Lucas didn't articulate this well in film. But Anakin is supposed to be like the ultimate Force user. He's stated to be that, like in the films. There's like this sort of false or like artificially contrived parody between the Palpatine line and the Skywalker line. It's like, what does it matter that she? I mean, like, does that mean that Yoda and Palpatine could have been a dyad? Like, if they, I mean, what does that mean? Like, so why? How is it created? Is it something that has always been between the two, or did it come to be through their actions? These are things that should have been addressed. This is what the story should have been about if you were going to do this dyad thing. And it's just like this throwaway dialogue to like just excuse their bullshit. Like, we can pass each other shit through the Force, and that's how we'll do our thing. And it leads to a fight that's visually interesting, but to me it would have been, it just kind of breaks the lore, and it is excused because, well, no one's been able to do this in generations, so it's not normally there in the lore. It's crap. But to me, I think the idea, if you just cut out the whole dyad thing of like that fight being waged across like planets or whatever, like thousands of miles apart, I think it would be better if he was psychologically tormenting her that way, and that he could do that from afar. That's fine. But the fact that it's literally going on, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, especially considering the previous film had Luke die just for projecting an illusion, not even a physical manifestation.
What? Like, how does that not drain them?
It happens again though, because it happens to Leia on Endor, right? Like, and I'm like, so if you're a Palpatine, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But if you're an elderly Skywalker, you can project yourself from like a little bit away and die in the process of doing so.
It's like, it's the fact that's what we talk about when we talk about breaking the Force, because it's not just about EU stuff, or certainly disregards anything to do with a cohesive world building setup for that, but just within the own saga. I mean, you said there, Anakin is supposed to be the most powerful Force user in the world. He doesn't do a quarter of what Rey can do on screen. It's just she's pulling off shit that what we didn't even know was possible. She didn't even know was possible within the context of her own story, in which she's still able to do it throughout this trilogy. And it's like, how are we supposed to take anything seriously? Where's the contextual framing for this kind of setup, and as a result, where's the weight for our enjoyment of it? Why should we care about these moments if we don't know what they mean? It's just, and in the future, God help them, in the future Star Wars stories, anyone can do what Rey and Ren can do. There's no reason they can't. Little Padawan sweeping at the end of Last Jedi is going to grow up and be a god.
Yeah, there's an interesting point about that I want to bring up at the very end here, but I mean, at this point, I want to say, like, on because we can kind of like move through this, I guess. We're going already longer than I thought we would, but and it's been fun talking to you guys though, so it's fine. I don't really mind. But the fight on Endor, I didn't hate, and I didn't like the fight in Force Awakens. I didn't like just nothing about it. I didn't like the fact that she was able to beat him. I didn't like the way the choreography looked. It didn't scare me. There wasn't that sense of jeopardy. All of it just didn't work for me. Last Jedi, I haven't seen the fight. I mentally checked out after Snoke was taken out, and I just was like, what? And I've only seen these movies once. So I that whole throwdown in the throne room with like the shitty guards, it's a mental blank for me. It's not like it wasn't very emotionally engaging, and there were some issues that I had with it, like toward like the later stage of it, but it was the best duel that and also she beat Luke like in The Last Jedi as well with their little stick fight. Fuck that. But anyway, she beat him, like, you know what I mean? And that's crap. and Kylo Ren lost to like an old hologram at the end of that movie. So I haven't been a fan of any of the fights. This was the closest they got to something I was like, all right, they didn't piss me off. Hey, and they're actually in person. That's cool.
Yeah,
it's not like
it didn't piss me off,
apart.
but it did bore me. For the length it was going on, nothing that was happening.
It dragged on.
It went for
and
too
again,
long.
It wasn't emotionally investing.
Yeah,
and it was
point.
Yeah,
sorry.
Also,
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I was just saying, also they were kind of homaging the Mustafar duel with the big wave
and the leaping and the back and forth. That was not a good thing for me.
But see, the Mustafar duel is like way bad. Like for me, like after the initial thing, it's like it's the same problem sets in. It's actually not worse. It's just the same. You know what I mean? It's like this is going on too long.
Yeah.
And
I'm getting really silly with the swinging and the leap.
Yeah, I didn't think it got silly like in that regard. So I think I would prefer this to like that stage of the Mustafar duel. But yeah, it's the problem there though is I'm like, why is he fighting even, or like why are they like
neither of them can kill the other one if their goals are set.
Well,
she's either being she can at that point. My bad, because no, she can't. Because he's the only way she's going to get the Emperor. The motivation-wise, neither of them can kill each other in this fight unless they're being stupid.
Well, that's this would have been more interesting as like a conversation to me, like instead of just like let's fight. And it's like, why though? Because like like you said, neither of you will get what you want if you kill the other one. And her goals are like, I don't know. They're very difficult to discern.
Revenge on the Emperor, even though she doesn't really want to go that far, and it's like at this point she's sort of falling and it kind of
with the anger. I mean,
I think she's fine with revenge, and I didn't have a problem with that. What I had a problem was with when she goes back to Luke's hidey hole because I guess she fears herself, but that's not made clear. So like, that's like the immediate follow up to this. That's where she goes after.
I think it's clear that's why she's doing it. It just doesn't make any sense why they're choosing to do that narratively, or why she's struggling with this at this moment. This is just it's just same thing. That's what I'm getting. It's just weird. I mean, and the fight ending itself, like Leia tricks her son into being killed. Is like, what's the motivation there? Ben, I'm trying to reach out to you. Distraction dead. It's like that's either poor planning on her part, or she's being malicious. Either way,
that whole thing was. That whole thing was ridiculous because Maz Kanata literally was like narrating. General Leia is now going to make the ultimate sacrifice, audience, just so you're not overly confused by what's about to happen. That was clearly done in post.
Yeah.
And her body doesn't go away until the end of the movie.
When her brother does. Sons does, rather.
What?
It's like, what?
So what is it? So for me, I think...
Why is Renee able to do that? Nothing about this film makes sense.
I don't agree with that because to me that's a Jedi thing that should have just been like that. That's the sign of being a Jedi.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like a powerful, good Jedi, but he just wasn't. So it confuses me. Same with Vader at the end. But never mind. Moving on.
But and even he didn't like disappear on.
Yeah,
screen.
exactly.
But anyway,
right.
But anyway, what I think the scene was supposed to be was what Han ends up doing. I think it was supposed to be Leia, except Carrie Fisher passed away.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but even then, I think what they could have made it is that she's facilitating the conversation between Han's spirit and...
Yeah, that would have been a perfect fix.
That's what it should have been. Like I don't think that's what they wanted it to be at the start, but that's what you could have cobbled it together to be. And also, to understand maybe that she's not actually dead at this moment, but just like in a coma, like making this thing happen the whole time until the end of the movie, where she can't hang on anymore. But like as is, I was totally baffled. Like that took me like a long time of like thinking about what the hell was that supposed to be.
I want to know the size of that paycheck as well, by the way.
I was about to say that.
How much did they have to drop on
very substantial? You can probably retire now.
I called that like way back when, and people might not remember that. But I said they're gonna need to bring back Harrison Ford after we saw Last Jedi, and Last Jedi was Last Jedi, and Luke was gone, and Carrie Fisher was passed away. I was like, they are going to bring Han back, and people were like, how can they do that? He's dead. It's like they're gonna find a way to bring him back because
nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
Well, they literally can't do anything else to give this character a send off. The actress playing his mother's passed away, and Luke they fucked up Luke.
That relationship
particularly
that would
for
have
Ren.
landed very hard with that relationship.
Particularly for Ren's case. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing he could do with Luke, good or bad. And you can't blame him.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I know.
It's the worst thought. The fact that Ren is
I knew-
completely blameless in that situation. Yeah, he did try to kill you in your
How
sleep
did they
for
manage
nothing
that?
more.
How did they manage
So
that?
bad.
That's a feat and a half. How do you do that? Like, be that bad?
Oh,
But you
God.
can't blame Kylo Ren. But anyway, yeah, the Han stuff. It was so. It would be perfectly fine if it was in the context of a story that earned it, But I don't have much to say about it. It didn't do anything wrong. It's just a part of this thing. But if you guys have anything else to say other than the third act,
make a
open the floor.
nod. I think Jeremy John said the same thing. Make a nod to the fact that Han had to forgive him for the audience's sake, because otherwise we couldn't have forgiven Kylo Ren. Because absolute bullshit of us going, yeah, he's a hero now. Is it? Nope. I mean, Vader was bad enough for his very flimsy sort of redemption, but Ren actively in this film has been slaughtering people left, right, and center, calling for like the annihilation of entire towns.
He literally
in previous
watched in the
films.
first movie as several planets
these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and
blew
Hux.
up,
Oh, and Hux. Oh, but anyway, but they're just
Oh yeah, Hux.
everything. These guys are not redeemable, folks.
Hux
You needed Han as the bare minimum to be able to say, yeah, it's fine, guys, I forgive him.
Yeah. My dad's always said that I like the way he phrases it, that Darth Vader gets a slice of redemption pie. He's somewhat redeemed, but it's not like when George is like in his interview going, Darth Vader does become the hero.
Nope.
He does destroy the Sith.
Nope.
No. Luke and friends are the heroes. Vader helped destroy the Sith for a limited time, apparently.
And for selfish reasons as well. He only did it because it was his own son. Every other time someone's tried to turn it back, he's like, I don't give a shit. It's purely self-serving.
But it's fine. That to me is a measure of good. Like
it's narratively functional.
What I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying it's a criticism.
But
it doesn't make him a hero. It doesn't make him a hero. Yeah, it's just bullshit. No. But Ren is even worse because again, he's he's completely irredeemable. He's 30-ish, guys. This is not some teenager.
No.
But so do we want to talk about this third act?
Yes, let's get into it.
I don't have anything I can't say anything about the horses or the space battle. That
all they would have to do is just turn the Star Destroyer to the side slightly.
That's all. They shouldn't have been able to land. This is the worst fleet defense ever. One of these Star Destroyers would be more than enough to wipe out this. This is a bloody. We've seen these corvettes get wiped out by a single blast from a turbo laser. How is that bringing that bloody corvette going to do anything? And the fighters should be outgunned by one fighter wing. That alone. And this is 1,000 somehow manned Star Destroyers. It's like, what are they doing?
I thought it was 10,000.
Whatever it was. It was a ludicrous amount of Star
There's a line
Destroyers.
when they're at the First Order Council, and one of them says, by adding our forces, it'll increase our
10,000 fold or
10,000
something.
fold.
And it's like,
really?
Really?
That's ridiculous.
It would be that's stupid, but also it would be nice to know what that even means because we have no clue the scale of either side of this conflict.
Yeah, that's the first time they even tried.
The good guys don't even have a fucking navy. What does that mean? How many planets are there out there that have personal forces they could field? And he's like, where did these guys come from? It's like, ugh. So the world building is just fundamentally broken.
But it's all okay because Lando rallied the galaxy at the last minute. But anyway, we really haven't talked about Palpatine that much.
Yeah, we have.
We probably should. So it's never ever explained how he survived.
Abilities some people consider to be
that was the explanation.
It's like
exactly.
What?
The same old, the dark side is a path to I mean, oh my gosh, that was the extent of what we get for how he's here.
That and the hand away from the random rebel or resistance guy, and it's like, cloning and
which
dark
even that's
and
pretty flexible considering.
It's just
what he could be talking about. So Ian McDermott is really trying here, but
can I just talk about? Can I just talk about like before he does his summoning his true self or whatever? The way he looks throughout most of the film, I think, is it's the perfect metaphor for what this movie literally is. It's Palpatine's shambling, broken, propped up corpse, that's being moved around on a robot arm mechanically and without any sort of life. that's this trilogy at this point. You know what I mean? It's like it is such plundering the depths of what we have a license to. And you remember the Emperor, this desperate attempt at bringing out like this puppet, like look at this, We didn't even talk about the Luke scene, by the way. But anyway,
well, the Luke scene's one of the. I mean, it's one of the better scenes.
Real quick, we'll get back to Palpatine. Let's talk about Luke. I have one.
A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. It's
yes,
like,
it
where
does.
were you last movie saying
yeah,
that?
I was gonna say thank you for that. At least, oh god, talk about damage control on a minute level.
And he's all, "You're right, Rey. I was afraid of what."
And that's the annoying thing is that's a good message. I mean, it's fundamentally basic, but it's a good message. But we just don't care because it's attached to nothing that makes sense in these films.
And arguably the smallest detail of the film, but of the scene rather, but the one that pissed me off the most was him raising the X-wing out. And I'm like, okay, more intervention from beyond the grave. And number two, it doesn't have any of the gravitas because she's been doing more impressive things than that the whole movie. So it's not recapturing the moment. The trying to use that amazing score and trick me, and it didn't work. But also, and this is like a small thing, but I hate it. He's in the exact same pose that Yoda is.
You saw and Yoda, his face. He's very clearly imitating that face.
Yes, and he's doing like his hand.
Yeah,
so Yoda is a 3-fingered, 2 feet tall green midget puppet. He has no articulation. That's what you can do with him. Mark Hamill is a human being. This is not the Jedi pose for raising a ship out of water.
I thought exactly the same thing. It was just like
he was feeling nostalgic that day.
The expression. You can see he's literally acting as Yoda there, and I expected him to just go give a self-satisfied smile at the end. It's like, yeah, I can do it now, bitch.
And you know what else? He wasn't even like the nice, cleaned up Mark Hamill from like the end of last year. He was the shitty bum, like long, scraggly haired, looking like asshole.
Yeah, his hair looked really bad.
Yeah,
not just the quality, but I mean the wig or whatever it was just looked terrible. It's like, oh god,
it was really bad.
Everything about that scene is just either too cheesy, too stupid, too manipulative, or just generally bad across the board.
And I admit that the pose thing is I would consider it a nitpick, but it really did bother me. You know, and
it's the why of why they're doing it again. Like it's literally trying to recapture this moment. Look, you know when these films were good and we're trying to be that. Yeah, this is the thing. Look, you'll like us now. It's like no, this is not how you do an homage. Like, they do it repeatedly throughout this film in different scenes. They have the I am your father moment. They have the raising of the X-wing. They have the Emperor returns. And just everything they try do with him to begin with. Oh god, everything just throughout. It's like, what are you doing, people?
Okay, so should we go back
that's
to
the Luke
now?
scene.
Yeah, let's talk about the Emperor.
Why isn't Luke helping her?
Well, it kind of helps later, but
let's save that. Okay, but because that's like the only part of this that's even close to good. All right, but So I have a big problem. I had a big problem with Snoke in like the last one for narrating the turning of the lightsaber in some general direction.
Approach and strike me down.
It's not even that good. It's just she will raise her saber. She will slice me down. It's like, what the hell?
Yes.
Oh, and like the chanting with all these people, there's like thousands of Sith acolytes, by the way.
I know. It's never explained.
In robes, just like that. Is he like on tour? Is that his concert?
It was like a mix.
He was a ringleader. He was like a ringleader. It
was a mix between the whole Kalima and also the thing we took the piss out from the Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith novelization, with him going security, peace, justice, sail with me now.
Stop, roll. Yeah,
it's like it was doing that.
It was this was embarrassing. Like this was the schlockiest moment in maybe all of Star Wars. And you know what I mean? Like this is like Star Wars has got some schlock in it, but this is like really like takes the cake. And and he's first she will draw her lightsaber, and then she
did it.
It was a choreograph, like they worked it out in the circus, right?
And the thing is, the biggest thing on like a more actual serious moment is that the reason he was so powerful in the originals is because he was describing the idea of relatable human emotion. He was discussing Luke's character. He was diving into the psychology of the moment. That's why he was so interesting. He didn't do anything physically dangerous until the lightning starts, and that's the most interesting part of it. Here,
and he also didn't literally want to be struck down down.
Yes,
he was
exactly.
just trying to goad Luke into falling.
Yeah,
he knew Vader was going to step in and block the blow.
Precisely,
and
it was emotional. It's perfect. But here, the only reason he's doing this, and it's a stupid reason, full stop, is that, well, the ritual requires that we fulfill this quota to function.
You must slice me down from this angle at this specific time.
I mean, this has been tried before, guys.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, and look, it's all right. We're homaging the EU, you know, because essence transfer is a thing. You'll love it, fans. Like, fuck off.
No, I don't. Yeah,
it's just,
and it's also like there's also this idea this is supposed to be a Faustian bargain where you are making a covenant with like this all powerful evil deity, and he promises you all these things, but what he really is like he's in it for himself, and you're a tool. He's just straight up like, I'm gonna get inside your body after you do this, and it's like that's not interesting at all. That's
and
so
why
shitty.
would she do it? Because she doesn't gain anything from it. The second he's in his body, he kills them all anyway. It's fundamentally broken.
He opened the ceiling, and it was just like the Return of the Jedi, where
your friends don't have much time, do they?
And they look up, and it's like, yeah, you're right. They probably should be dead already, but never mind.
He was literally reading the script from Return of the Jedi.
He has not like turned a page for 35 years. He's still, it's all the same shit. Strike me down, blah, blah, dark side. And before his big blah, like moment where like he like set fire to the sky, he goes,
just as I once fell, I'll push Ren off a cliff.
That was so shitty. But before
that's
that,
after he does the force drain though.
That even before, like when he says that, right? Like he goes, he's like talking to his followers or whatever they are. He goes,
"Don't fear this feeble attack, my faithful.
Nothing will stop it." And it's like you're considering their feelings, but also you remember when he said, "Your feeble skills are no match for the power that." He used the word "feeble" again because remember, like it was like this guy is on the same page of the script for 35 years. Like that's so stupid. Like, what is he doing?
And I kept expecting him to just kill all the cultists as well. I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be like the original Essence Transfer with oh my god, I forgot his name, Exarchon. I thought it was going to be another another like that, because it was even the same setup of the room. It was the same kind of layout, and I was like, okay, that's not cool, but at least that'd be something. Explain the masses of cultist mental people being present.
They kind of go with that idea with the I'm all of the Sith or whatever, but
which makes no sense anyway, because you're supposed to be one, the two. And then, oh god, nothing makes sense. And then of course we have the one glimmer of potential in this scene, which is the Avatar state moment.
See, I don't. Everyone keeps calling it that, and my head didn't go there like at all. Because well, first of all, like
should we back up and
I was gonna say the dyad thing, right? Like where he like does this the actual
essence transfer, quote unquote.
It's so
it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just force drain. Sorry.
He doesn't even know what he's doing to himself. He
pushes them or whatever, and and in the act of force pushing, his finger,
some of the energy goes into him.
The dyad. I know what I'll do. And change my clothes in the process. By the way.
Oh yes! It's like, look what you have done, or look what you have wrought, or something. He says, and he literally points to his fucking new shirt. It's like, what is happening?
It was so stupid. I mean, and just so like.
And then we get the most ridiculous lightning.
Okay. But but like you said, like as the Skywalkers once tossed my ass down a shaft, now I do so to the last Skywalker. And it was the perfect like metaphor for like, let's get that whole like Skywalker thing out of this. Like they have nothing to do with like this. We're just gonna throw it away. Just chuck it over there. Doesn't have anything to do.
It's never mind. The film's called Rise of Skywalker. We're talking about the Palpatine now. It's like, oh god. Yeah.
But. And the lightning.
Rise of Palpatine would have been a better name for this film anyway, like contextually. It would not thematically, but it makes more sense.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that, but it's true. And how sad is that? But anyway, I don't have much to say about the lightning other than it's just like ridiculous to me. But it's and also that more than anything else, because I was like, are they dumb enough to just be like having like characters in space that can just breathe? Or do they really not give a fuck? But I guess what it was is they were like in like the atmosphere. But
there's still gravity, so
how come they're not falling like as he's doing that? Because like he just disabled all their ships and they're still in the atmosphere. There's gravity.
Well, they are falling just really slowly, and apparently they have 5 minutes to save them.
Like, the moment done zapping them, they're just like, "Oh, we're back in business."
I know, right?
Like,
they actually have time
no
to recover.
damage.
Apparently, it was completely stupid.
The button reboot everything. And
Also, side note: the amount of power those fucking Star Destroyers must be exerting to stay up in the air like that is not efficient. But anyway, that's a world building thing.
So back on the ground, after he became his true self or whatever, and like tossed away Ren. I can't remember why, but like Rey was on the ground. I don't even remember why she was like collapsed.
Because of the drain.
Yeah.
Oh,
and she gets up.
Okay.
She's like, rise, Rey.
Yeah. So this idea, I don't. My head doesn't go to Avatar. I think that's just fans giving Avatar like credit because like this idea I think is kind of classic. You know, like
I don't mean it's an actual 1-for-1 homage. I just mean it's just likened to. It's a funny name for it.
I think it's I like the idea of this a lot. Like in the few times that I've like even dipped my toe into like the fan fiction writing realm, I've like theorized scenes like this.
It's another one of those glimmers of really awesome potential. Like if a specific Jedi had reached out and accomplished this in a good story, it would be amazing. It's just the fact that within the context of this story, even putting aside the whole Force law being ridiculously wiped away, why are they waiting till now? Why are these Jedi not joining her until this moment?
There's that point,
and also why can't they just materialize and help her physically like they have been the rest of the films?
That would be you'd have to pay all those people like more money to show up, and
it's just in the context of the story. There's no reason they can't now. There was a reason they couldn't before.
It wouldn't make Rey the Force goddess that she is if they all were helping her. My biggest problem with that whole thing, I like the idea of it that like the Jedi, and I've seen this. It's not even on a small scale. There's a Star Wars Tales issue that I forget the name of, but it's just Mace Windu hunting like some random like guy. He's like a mass murderer, and what's driving Windu to do this is he's in the pursuit of justice to take out this guy because he's personally killed, like slaughtered so many people that like there's these spirits that like aren't at rest, and he's gonna take this guy out because he can sense like this disturbance from like beyond the grave, and they're not Jedi, they're just people that have like died in like a horrible vicious way, and it's like he's gonna eliminate this threat. I think that those kind of spiritual things that should be like a Jedi thing, you know what I mean? And being able to influence from beyond the grave, like or be inspirational or like to imbue like you with whatever like it is that you need to keep going forward. I'm fine with all that.
Likewise.
That's totally fine.
It's a really cool idea on its own.
Visually and
thematically for the Jedi, for the narrative story, it's enormously potential idea.
And it's also and just the fact that they went as far as to like include shit that wasn't just from the movies. I mean, Ahsoka talks. You know, there's from what I hear,
Luminara on duty for some reason.
I wouldn't have recognized it, but someone said Kanan's there. I don't.
Yeah, Kanan's there.
I didn't hear him, but
it's Kanan, Luminara on duty, Ahsoka, Luke, Windu, Yoda,
Mace and for sure.
Mace and yeah. No Obi-Wan though. I don't think for some reason.
No, Obi-Wan was there.
Was he?
Obi-Wan was there.
Oh yes, he was.
Yeah,
it was Ben. Yeah, Ben. Sorry, my bad.
But
Anakin was there too.
I'm good. Yes, this is what drove me insane. Bring balance to the Force, Rey, like I did. But you did.
It didn't last very long.
What's going on right now?
In 30 years, the scale's going to be tipped again, and Rey's going to have to save the galaxy if she's not already dead by that point.
But it's also like it's not like Palpatine has been gone for 30 years. He's been clearly active all this time. He's like, you didn't do anything of the kind, Anakin. Like we just shit on your whole thing. And I have to stress, I'm not offended that they undid the Chosen One thing. I mean, it's stupid. It breaks the saga. I don't care about his sacrifice because Chosen One fulfillment. I care about it because Vader redemption moment and like the meaning of Return of the Jedi and the
just narrative satisfaction and like I said, the connection earlier, the connection to the saga. It's just fundamentally not there anymore.
Yeah, and it's just so bad. There's people saying that it should have been like a literal Force ghost for Anakin to show up and like that would have made it better.
Oh god, you know what it would have been? It would have been literally Patrificus Totalis. It would have been that. Oh god, I'm surprised they didn't do that. To be honest,
Wait, Petrificus Totalis?
You mean?
Oh, for God's sake! Jesus Christ! Priori Incantatum. Jesus, that was a fail.
Gotcha.
I apologize,
I was confused. I was like, what am I?
I apologize. That was a brain fail.
How is this Hermione freezing Neville right now? I thought I was really
sorry. Complete fail there. Yeah, Priori Incantatum. I'm a Harry Potter fan.
That's also another good example of this concept at the end of Goblet of Fire. Like it's kind of the same thing. Like all the spirits from like the people that have been killed by
that's what I mean.
coming out. It's the same.
It would have worked, but I'm just surprised they didn't do it just for the cheese of it. They've done it elsewhere.
No, I'm just bringing that up because that's another because there's people saying that this ripped off Avatar, and I'm like, this is not like an Avatar idea, guys. This is like fantasy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying ripped off. Just it's like,
but other people have like other reviewers that I've seen. But yeah,
on top of everything else, just the physical stupidity of this. It's like oh no, one lightsaber is fine, but two is too much. Two is too much.
Mace Windu did it with one. Now imagine what two.
And she's just doing it.
That was the problem. Yoda didn't bring a single lightsaber to the party, and that's where he fucked up. And Mace was so close. If he would have just taken one more, like he could have like knocked that lightning back into that testicular forehead and ended him forever. Apparently, God. And it's just like, where is the drama in this? Because I've already seen this man get thrown down a shaft and obliterated twice in two explosions.
Presumably, he's got another force tank somewhere where he can just come back to life.
I have no
exactly.
reason
We don't even know the implications of what's going on.
I have no reason to believe that he's dead. Just I mean, aside from the fact that that's clearly like what the film wants you to think. But I mean, when you go like with their own internal illogic of how they resurrected him, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm just supposed to believe that.
It's just stupid. It was so unsatisfying on every level. Like, there's nothing at all good about this finale's conclusion.
And the Emperor, even when he's good, is hammy. But like his death scene, that was so embarrassing.
Oh gosh, it is.
That was so bad. Like
it is debatably worse than Dark Empire, and I hated his death in that too.
Again, it makes Dark Empire look good, and that's just how. For me, I hate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's at least a story. You know, it's at least a story.
But moving on from Palpatine, what else is there in this film after this?
There's nothing else.
There's the burying. The wrap up, the burying of the lightsabers.
Why does no one live there anymore? That is a house, guys. That people own that.
No, I'm fine with that. But the whole lightsaber thing. You need Leia's lightsaber. You need Leia's lightsaber because she had a dream that one day the savior of the galaxy would use it.
What was Where did this come from?
Also, she just didn't. Also, she stopped being a Jedi because she knew at the end of her path she'd kill her own son. It's like, what? What is this?
And it didn't avert anything. That still happened, basically.
So, but also, why would you tell that story? Why would that be a thing in your narrative? It's like, what?
Yeah. Oh crap! We also forgot Kylo coming back. And
he came back.
Rey actually dies.
Rey also apparently her healing uses her own lifespan, so every time she heals, she drains is the implication she loses some of her life, which is strange.
She did. She said that. Yeah. That was the implication that I got from like the way she explained it.
I don't know if it shortens her life. It just shortens like her energy at that point. I don't know.
I get the impression it shortens her lifespan because when she dies, I think he dies when he brings him back. So it's life for a life.
It's commensurate to like what she's healing. It's like it would be like she's sacrificing some of her health.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
because she was deathly ill, he had to sacrifice his whole life to bring her back.
Yeah, but it makes sense on the 1-for-1. But I just don't understand why they'd want to bring that in because now that's the thing that anyone can do. You know, presumably if someone dies, anyone can sacrifice themselves to bring him back. But that's just the Force perspective. But emotionally, why do we care about this moment? So they kissed.
Someone did. Someone did. Someone went like yes. In my theater of 9 people, some person did, and then like it was so funny because he deflated because he immediately died, and he was like, oh.
Also, this was the guy at the start of the film slaughtering people. This is the guy who was happy that the entirety of the New Republic was annihilated. This guy has watched the death of billions and smiled. This is not someone who deserves fucking redemption.
Why is she in love with him?
Yeah, why? I mean, what is the connection?
I don't get it either. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Why does he care?
That's why I was happy just to pass over it. I mean, he has the best through line and the best arc overall, but this is really like a best of the worst scenario.
What's even the age disparity between these two in terms of just life experience level? I don't even know what that is.
Much.
I don't know.
Because I'm right in saying he's about
know.
30, right? I could have sworn someone said that he's had 20 years of training.
Yeah, he's like 30, but I don't know how old she is.
She was on that desert planet for a long time. If she's like 30 odd.
But the whole thing was weird because I mean the timeline. My biggest problem is who fucked Palpatine, like, because she had to have been. It had to have been after he turned that way.
Oh God!
No longer looks
All
like
the
a normal
implications of that. Because that's a great thing we wanted to kept back from the EU. Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but so I liked their acting in the moment, and I liked the look of him when he's like kind of holding her dead corpse or whatever, like to himself, and like bringing her back. I think, wow, these two, like they could really be a cool thing in a better story. So again, acting is good.
They act their asses off for every little bit of their terrible writing. The fact that they can elevate it even a little bit.
They put their all into these performances, and it really shows just the amount of emotion they could get out of just each little scene that they got.
Finn spent the whole movie with like a secret that he was supposed to tell Rey, and it didn't materialize.
I'd forgotten about that.
It didn't materialize, and there was a point. I have to say this: there was a point when I thought, okay, because she'd been like outed as a Palpatine, and nothing was really happening, and Ben's name is Solo, not Skywalker, and I'm going, they're not going to make Finn Skywalker because he's heavily implied to be force sensitive this whole time. Like he has, I just got a feeling, and Rey has a feeling, and I've got a feeling, and he knows what the plot needs because he got a feeling. And I'm like, Luke was like his dad, or like, I mean, that didn't happen. But I mean, I'm going like, what is the secret then? Like, just a plot hole. Never mind.
Yeah, nothing came of it.
And that was the only way I could think it would save the title. Because there is no Skywalker, like at the end of this movie, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, she's just naturally amazing for literally no reason. Again, I know that sounds like a nitpick, but it really isn't, because the problem is now every single character you ever see in Star Wars moving forward can be God level with no ramifications. There's no Yoda anymore. It's just completely irrelevant.
That is a problem, but it's not my biggest problem with it. Let's go to the end here, unless anybody has anything else to say. Because
I don't.
No.
We've missed so much, but I just don't have to talk about it.
The last
she buries
scene,
the sabers.
Yeah, she goes to bury the sabers. That's how she knew where to go. I don't know. I don't know what that old kook was there doing. There's no one been here for so long.
It's like, what are
you, like a cleaning lady? This thing was burned down, like charred, like to the ground by like stormtroopers like 45 years ago. You're here to mop up the mess. I mean, what are you doing here?
And she's clearly not doing a very good job.
The
place. Also, that random little. It's all right. It's a very big nitpick, but it's still like really weird. Why did she go yee as she kind of went down that slope? She didn't actually make that noise, but she's like, what was that shot? I was like, what?
It was an
homage to the
beginning
Force
of
Awakens.
the Force Awakens.
Yeah, but was that it? Was that literally it? Just let me go on a sled?
Yeah, it was literally it.
You remember? And then she's all like, who are you? Or what's your name? Or whatever. I'm Rey Skywalker. And I'm like,
no.
Well, you're not. But my biggest problem though, is the whole movie was about, well, you're a Palpatine and we still saw the good in you and don't be afraid of who you are. It goes against the spirit of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like you were supposed.
What they're trying to lead up to. It's redemption, yeah. And it would have been a fuck you to Palpatine to change his legacy for one. But also, I just prefer the idea of her
if she
staying
just owns
Rey.
it, you know.
I prefer her just to stay Rey. I'm Rey. That would have been.
That's true.
Way more powerful for me.
But it's just like I don't. Yeah, it's like you stole the name, and I get it. You know, they'll say, well, she's making sure that the name Skywalker lives on and is. Yeah, well, you guys could have written a better story where that happened. Like, it was true. I was left with a very sour taste in my mouth, like by that. And Star Wars, you know, I don't know. I'm out of carrots and I'm out of sticks. With this series.
Why does she personally care as well? I mean, what is Skywalker to her? Outside of audience perspective, because the only Skywalker she know murdered or tried to murder their nephew and also committed genocide on a mass scale.
Well, I guess she got on well with Leia. I guess if you want to be like, but it's also fun. Do you remember when she had like some shitty dialogue with Palpatine and he's like, "Are you going to face me as a Jedi?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." And your master, Luke Skywalker. Her master? That guy?
She met once?
Master is very much stretched in this context.
How long does she even know him for? Because time is completely pointless in this film.
I don't know. Like, it couldn't have been more than a few weeks, though.
Yeah.
And that's being charitable.
Yeah.
If you said that would mean that the whole business on no, it was only a couple days, right? Because didn't they only have a couple days?
It was 3 tests that ended up being just 2.
Yeah.
That could be weeks though. But the Canto Bite thing, I think specifically was they only had like a couple days to get that done.
That's true.
So, yeah. She knew him for like a few days. I'm pretty sure. But she knew Leia for, I guess,
presumably an amount of time. Like, how long was it between the films? Do we even know?
We don't know.
It makes any difference because we have no context for the galaxy at large. So, it could be 2 decades, it could have been a day. We just don't have a clue.
It's crap. But yeah, I mean, I hope they never make another film. For all you people saying, "Woo, there's something about this movie like canonized Revan or some book or whatever that like." Do you really want them to touch that story? Do you really believe that they can make Revan a thing? If they couldn't handle Luke Skywalker, what makes you think that they can tackle the likes of Revan or the complexity of Kreia in the way that it's meant to be? Like, I mean,
especially considering the Force means nothing anymore because there's no weight to anything at all. I mean, it's not just world building nitpick here. Narrative. The Star Wars franchise has been built in terms of the Jedi and the Sith on the mystical ethos, even just in the Saga and not the EU, of the weight and significance of personal character and mastery over yourself that leads into the great weave of the Force. None of that matters anymore now. The Force is just splay hands, effect happens. That's all it is now. And there's no argument to say otherwise. Aside from the whole respect for the ancestry, I guess. That's about it. What are we going to get from any story that tries to dive into them? Unless they massively backtrack.
Isn't going to happen. I'm done with this. I'm done with this, right? I mean, you freaking went on, you took the Skywalker saga and ended on a instead of a bang. I don't need anything else after this. I don't want anything else after this.
And I do agree that the prequels are better, but I don't think that they're good films.
No,
I don't think
they're good.
No, definitely not.
They're massively.
See, the prequels had one thing going for them that I don't think not enough people talk about this.
A narrative through line.
Yes, but also you're kind of intrinsically, you're already motivated to give them license and see where it's going from the beginning because of a couple names named Kenobi and Skywalker in there. You know that story. You love that story. I'm talking from the perspective of people that watched the original trilogy first. Mm-hmm. You wanted to know what that story was because you loved where it went and you know where it goes and you love that root of it. So you want to see more of that and you want to understand what that is. So you were willing to put up with that story. And because of how thoroughly the games, books, comics, and all that were oriented toward complementing the film at the time, I automatically fill in blanks. But when I think about it consciously, almost nothing that I appreciate is actually on screen. So that's the reason why I still call the prequels bad movies. They are bad films.
On a technical level, they're bad
definitely.
films. What they also are is a far more expansive and solid groundwork for the development of not just the franchise, but the setting as a whole, and the story and the characters and the stuff. There is a spider web of just narrative that can splinter off from those films. None of that is in the sequel trilogy. Absolutely none. There is nothing for anyone to build on. They have to manufacture things from scratch to make any kind of Star Wars story now, and we have nothing to draw on in the past either because it's all gone. And even the stuff like the prequels and the Clone Wars can't be drawn on very well because these sequels make absolutely no acknowledgement towards them whatsoever. So it's just
when they do it in the most oblique and strange way. I've always been baffled by that scene where Luke felt like the Jedi. That the Palpatine was basically the Jedi's fault. That's just not true. And I can be critical of the Jedi, but that's not a crime you can lay at their feet. It's just not. That's a stupid thing that I would expect some Sith-loving fanboy to say, or some Fandalorian who hates the Jedi. You know what I mean? It's like a forum post and like one of those weird. You know the kind of fan I'm talking about.
Coming out of Luke's mouth as well. It's just
yeah.
But yeah, so all of that you can lend towards the prequels, and that's why, and all of that is now like triply enhanced in terms of perspective because you've now got this to compare it to. So that's what the biggest thing that is elevated for those. But as films, they're just as
one more thing. Yeah, one more thing they had going for them that both original trilogies had was
the music.
John Williams at his A game, you know. And in this, it was like I don't even know what this was. Like it's like as far as music goes, it was just like the greatest hits of Star Wars, and it's connected to moments that I don't find memorable at all. You know,
I don't think there was even a single original track in.
I'd be
The only
to
one
see,
that stands out from the entirety of the new sequel for me, the only one that stands out is Rey's theme, and that's just a Harry Potter theme. So it's like, what are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah,
with that?
that's everyone talks about that one, and I can, until you point it out to me, I always forget. You know that it sounds vaguely like Harry Potter, but it doesn't. I never listen to it for its own sake, and I listen to prequel music all the time.
Is it through the window? It sounds like so. It's one of the Harry Potter tracks, Azkaban tracks. But yeah, it's just exactly like that, and they keep playing the same cue as well in this film. And I was like, okay, I'm back in Harry Potter now. Thanks, guys. It's just and the fact that nothing else stands out. Even John Williams couldn't bring in A game to this for whatever reason. It's just probably the lack of any cohesive storytelling. But
yeah. But yeah, I echo your thought. I would close it by echoing your thought from earlier. If you enjoyed this film, I know it just seems like we probably just insulted you on a personal level because we just tore it apart and we don't understand how anyone could like it. Sorry about that. I do mean that, as awkward as that was phrased. But sorry if you like it and we just don't. But I am very curious as to why you like it.
Yeah, please let us know in the comment section because I'm interested in finding someone who has a defense for this.
It's not. It's a hard question to ask delicately.
Yeah.
Seriously, what does it for you?
We'll appreciate any perspective you can give.
Yeah, and if you like this, why exactly do you think the originals are as good as they are? Or maybe they aren't to you. I don't know.
Or do you?
Yeah, I was to say because
if you don't think that the originals are good, I don't know. Like,
I don't think we can relate.
It's a little perplexing.
What language are you speaking?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. But either way, if you did enjoy it, I'm happy for you. I don't mean to sound otherwise. But yeah, I didn't. Long and short of this, too long didn't read. We did not like this.
We should have ended it by saying, but it wasn't that bad.
10 out of 10.
Gosh. 10
out of 10.
That's what we want to do.
But yeah, so yeah, too long didn't read. We don't like this film, and we hope they don't make another one for the reasons that this film exists and the trilogy as a whole exists. Force Awakens, passable. Everything else, no, thank you.
And I'm just going to say, this is kind of unrelated, but to all the people asking us about Fallen Order, I am interested in it, but I haven't played it, so I have no comment on it at the moment.
Yeah, we'll probably cover that at some point, and we are covering more Star Wars material. Obviously, the EU will be carrying on, and any new content like Mandalorian that at least tries, then we'll cover that.
I want to. Yeah, that's important. Like Star Wars isn't dead to me.
No, of course.
Sucks. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But
we'll keep the train going. Don't worry.
Yeah, as best we can.
Still more Star Wars stuff coming. Yeah.
But yeah, with that said, those have been our thoughts on what's this film called? The Rise of Skywalker. That's how memorable it is.
It's a very memorable film.
I hope you guys enjoyed. Post, comment, all that jazz. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh God, it's over.